The journey of a business owner is the journey from I did it, someone expensive did it, someone less expensive did it, and then eventually
I'm sipping on success, feet up in the air. Why work harder when you can play it smart? That's the lazy leverage way to steal their heart.
Welcome back to Lazy Leverage. I am joined by Mark, joining us from Buffalo. Is that right?
Correct.
Are you staying warm?
I mean, toasty.
Do I even want to know how cold it is outside or no?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a balmy about 35.
It's crazy. And you own, I know you have kind of a bunch of different business experiences, but you in particular own Soccer Shots, which is how kind of like we came together, right?
Correct. Yeah, Soccer Shots in Buffalo, New York.
Do you own more than one territory within Soccer Shots?
I do. Yeah, I actually I've owned up to as many as 7 or 8, but I've sort of sold a few off. So we're down to the Buffalo territories, our main gig right now in Soccer Shots.
And Soccer Shots, if my Googling was correct, is a youth soccer program. Is it kind of like a membership based program where there's a variety of soccer programs and things like that, is essentially for people who are novices like me?
Yeah. So it's an introduction to sport, really, and it uses soccer as the sport to introduce people. It's young, so it's 2 to up to 8. Really, about 85% of our enrollment is between the ages of 2 to 5. So we really specialize in a really small niche market. It is seasonal, so we actually operate all year round. So in the winter, we go indoors. But the fall, the winter, and the spring, we stay outside. It's curriculum based. So we use our curriculum is based on like the New York State early education standards. So there's a method to the madness. It's not like the typical dad rolling out the ball to, when I was a kid, everything was just sort of, oh yeah, Mike Kamuta's dad's going to roll the ball out and start us playing. And we're like,
put some cones out. Yeah.
He puts the beer down in the net and, kind of goes from there. But we take a really, serious approach to getting kids started in sport.
It's awesome.
We don't want them to just do soccer, but everybody's born with the ability to kick. So it's an easy first one.
I have a almost 2.5-year-old, and I was kind of wondering at what age I could start having him do soccer. And hearing from you now, he's in the zone.
Yeah. And it's at that age, it's really perfect. It's a cool experience because we do like a mommy and daddy and me sort of program where at 2, the child will be out there with his parents or a grandparent or whoever.
Yeah.
But there's a little stranger danger at that age, as I'm sure you've experienced.
He loves it. He's a psycho. He's a psycho.
Awesome.
He'll love it. He'll be headbutting people. I mean, like in a good way, like out of love.
But that's good though. Yeah. It's easier to pull back than to get him going, right? Like,
yeah, he's not going to be like hiding behind me. Don't worry about it. So, and I also heard a rumor that you've acquired some other businesses, maybe that are in other parts of the country as well.
Yes. Yeah, we do have a couple other smaller businesses. I'm like a pseudo limited partner in a 4-location coffee shop in Iowa. I just actually invested in, it's kind of a long explanation, but in a construction sort of equipment rental business.
Okay.
So there's lots of little things that are happening, and it's funny because I think I've been operating our first business, Soccer Shots, for 13 years now.
Wow.
And it's like I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing for 10 of it, and then all of a sudden I was like, I should be doing more stuff with the cash flow or, other things that we've been doing. And I get to actually keep more money if I do more stuff. It's kind of weird. So,
it is. Yeah. It's, it's like, whoa, I'm making money. That's weird. I know the feeling for sure. And so I think, the reason why we kind of came together was on a few different fronts, which is cool, which is I think you're like my favorite type of person to talk to, which is obviously you're addicted to business, which I could tell. which is cool. You like the game like we all do, and you're like, you know, just like that kind of stage of business, which is fun. I also know that you've had the beginnings of some success with your first global talent hire, but you're kind of like, okay, I like this, but like, I don't know what's next and how to use it better. And maybe this thing isn't as good as you thought, and this thing's better than you thought. And so I thought it would be cool to just kind of connect and just maybe, I call it like, inceptioning, the movie Inception, where
Love
like,
it.
I'm going to try to like plant some ideas in your brain that maybe like you don't know if you came up with them yourself, or if maybe it's just a different way to say the same thing you already knew. But then you like wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, we need a video editor from South Africa. And I'm like, yeah, right. So that's the goal of this, is to maybe just get the juices flowing a little bit. I oftentimes refer to myself as a drug dealer, and the drug of choice is like global talent. So I like open up my trench coat and I'm like, so you have a marketing manager from Mexico. Have you tried an ops coordinator from,
Venezuela?
Yeah, exactly. So the purpose of this call is maybe to just kind of like talk about, kind of some of the things and maybe what some of your challenges are. I know, coaching, recruitment, and, all those fun things. So,
Awesome.
So tell me a little bit about Gustavo.
Yeah, he's been great. I openly have had to learn how to work with a global hire. There's different intricacies. While I've had businesses in other states, it is different, sort of intertwining a global talent into our leadership staff, because he is a part of that leadership team.
First of all, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, we just took the approach of like, what that role is really important to us, and he needs to be a part of those leadership discussions.
Love it.
Now, I won't say that he's a part of all of them, but we have a weekly leadership meeting, and that's part of his requirement, is to be available and to be on those. We Zoom him in or whatever Teams.
Fantastic. Yeah,
and he's a part of it, and so, myself being challenged on how to be better communicator, leader, all of that, getting the team involved in that has been a little bit of a challenge internally. And then learning, sort of teaching him what it is that we do and the language that we use. And that's still a work in progress. It's only been a few weeks, maybe a month, I don't know, that he's been on board. But he's been great, very adaptable. Say like, hey, those aren't the colors that we use, or hey, that's not really the age range that we deal with, and he's adapting very quickly.
His official title is Media and Marketing Director. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and
Correct.
we don't have to. We don't have to be.
The main initial push is for like the social media aspect of things, and then beyond the social media aspect of things, he will be involved in creating more marketing related items and documents, whether that's images for email or other things.
We don't have to be specific. We can be specific. By way of comparison, can you just give a rough approximation? What percentage versus a local hire, for someone is comparable and with the kind of judgment of Gustavo? Again, just think percentages, because that's kind of like an easy way to say it, like including, W-2, FICA, all that fun stuff. What do you think the percentage?
The equivalent starting pay is probably at least a third, if not a quarter.
Yeah. So if his rate was $5,000 a month, which it's not, I'm just using an even number, it's significantly less than that. It would be, you'd have to pay $20,000 to get kind of like the local person equivalent. Yeah.
It'd be between 15 to 20 for sure. Like in comparison for someone with his level of experience and knowledge.
Fantastic. That's so cool. Cool. Well, congratulations.
It's the only way I could afford it right now.
Well, and that's, I don't know how much you know about kind of the origin story here, but, I operate and build small local businesses. And for me, what brought me to hiring globally directly was I want to provide great service to my customers. And one of the ways to do that is to have a properly built team, not an overworked front desk person who's doing 187,000 jobs. And the only way that I could build the company that I wanted and that I could afford was to hire globally because I live in Southern California, and I can't have my phone answered consistently in Southern California. I cannot enforce, or I have to triple my prices.
Right.
That's the other
Right.
option, and I don't want to do that. And
Well-
so I was like, I want to answer my phone on the third ring. How do I do that?
Well, and John, New York's not much better than California. I mean, we're like two of the great ones, you know, we're really smart. And I'm cold, so I'm even smarter. But it's funny because after going through the process and, you know, the short experience with Gustavo, it's sort of, you know, I sold a business in Boston, and I sort of have been sitting here thinking about, you know, what's going to be my new focus, because our business locally here in Buffalo, my wife took over as the CEO a couple of years ago, and I'm more of sort of like, you know, I'm still involved, but I'm not in the day to day. You know, we have a leadership team, so I've really kind of been, you know, sort of paddling in circles, not really knowing what to do. So I'm like, okay, what can I do that's not going to take time away from my family, that can give me a focus? And with the experience with Gustavo, it has some ideas. I'm like, well, I might be able to do this little, you know, idea I have over here locally by hiring a hiring a global talent that can give me the equivalency of a local full-time person, and not,
Correct.
you know, not just from what you're saying, like exactly what you just said. I can afford it. And then if it does grow, great. If it doesn't, and it's a horrible idea and it fails, I'm not like bankrupting my family over it. It's been a really great experience, to be honest with you.
When I think of the 3 levels of global talent, because we have a bunch of members, and I've done a lot of advisory with franchisors, franchisees, private equity, all that fun stuff. Usually what I tell people is that there's 3 levels of global talent, and you're now what I would say is like between 1 and 2.
Okay.
And there's 3 levels. So first is you hire your first person and you're like, this is great. Like, and again, it's not always 100% great. Like, look, they're people sometimes, but what I mean is at some point you hit and you're just like, that's just Max. He's really cool and smart. He just happens to be in another country, right? So that's the first thing. Like, Max is really smart and he's teaching me things about how to use our CRM better or whatever it is. Okay.
Right.
That's step 1. That's like the gateway. Step 2 is you start looking at your business operations from a global perspective right off the go. Meaning you have a need. You're like, man, we really need to be on Instagram. The first thing you think is, man, I could probably get a video editor from Sagan for like $1,500 a month. And you start kind of put global glasses on as you look at opportunities. And the third is what you just mentioned, which is you literally look at specific acquisitions or product lines that would not be possible if you weren't really good with global talent. So you literally look at a company and you're like, I wouldn't want to own this company, but wait, I can get 7 people from different countries, and now it's a great company. Or you look at product lines where you're like, oh, we're going to review your swing in baseball virtually. And you're like, I would never want to do that if I could only hire locally, but I can get some great guys from Mexico who are great at baseball. And so
I'll tell you,
that's the third stage. That's where you're moving based on the way you're talking.
yeah, I have literally been up at night taking notes on different things.
Yeah.
Because of like the last month.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, it's going to sound selfish and a little weird to say for me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend my time doing these things, but I think they're great ideas or great avenues that could have a potential. But I don't want to spend the 50, 60 hours a week or even 40 hours away from my family doing that at this point. I mean, if I was 30 with no family and stuff, it'd be a different story, but I'm not.
Yeah, you're trying to build some. Have you heard the concept of leverage? Yeah, I read a lot about that. And so it's what you're trying to do is you're trying to build some leverage, and you have something that a lot of people don't have is you have a couple bucks in your pocket. And so you can say, look, I'm going to hire a digital marketing manager from Kenya. I'm gonna throw a little bit of money at it, give it 90 days and see where we're at. And you're not betting the farm. You're not signing a 3-year lease with a PG. You're just kind of
Exactly.
like, hey, let's give it a shot and see where we're at in 90 days. If I need to further invest or if I need to cut bait, small tests, let's see where we're at. I do that a lot.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If I do that 4 times this year,
it's a win. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a huge win.
Maybe 1 probably hits.
Yeah,
but
that's great odds.
Double bonus.
That's
right.
great odds, right?
Right.
I like those kind of odds because when it hits, it becomes a cash producing asset and off we go. But the stakes to experimentation are much lower. It's not, again, I have to like do $1 million build out to just even see if I have demand, which is.
You absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
Well, it's because I'm speaking like, I'm not guessing. I'm like, this is, this is like what I've done, right? You and I have the same addiction, unfortunately. We are fellow addicts, I would say.
Oof.
So what I wanted to kind of maybe talk through a little bit as you look at your business, as you look at the business on the other side of the country and some of these opportunities, I thought it would be fun, because when you hear something like, when you hear something like Soccer Shots, or you hear something like, retail, it's very obvious historically to think, well, look, my biggest problem is hiring coaches. What the heck are a bunch of smart people from Argentina going to do on that front? Or what the heck, right? And so I wanted to at least give you a model and then maybe give you some ideas as to how you can think about taking this, magical wand and having it touch things that maybe aren't intuitive. Because if it's something like, say, SEO, search engine optimization, it's very obvious that somebody who can build the WordPress site for me,
right?
That's kind of basic level. But when you're looking at something like, look, my biggest problem is coaches or whatever it is, right? Or getting new members in my local area, whatever it is, I might be able to give you some ways to think about it. So,
great.
So there's 2 big ways that I see to think about it. The second way is a little bit more advanced than the first way. So the first way is, and it works generally speaking with lower skill local labor, like, for example, running a restaurant or entry level college students or whatever, which is having somebody who wakes up in the morning and bangs the gong. And what that means to me is posts in every local Facebook group, is responsive on Indeed, posts on Craigslist every week, responds on LinkedIn and sends DMs to people who interact with you on Instagram looking for more, but basically wakes up and just bangs the gong. And whether it's kind of restaurant workers or, think of them as a recruitment coordinator.
Yeah.
And you're like, look, I can't hire them as local coaches, but what I can do is have them active in Facebook groups and have them on nextdoor.com and have them whatever the hell it is, right? Just kind of like, bugging my coaches to give a testimonial about how great it is to work at Soccer Shots in Buffalo, and then taking that and putting that on YouTube and, whatever it is. So that's the kind of, I would say that's for lower, again, restaurant servers.
Entry level, right.
That works really well.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of screen them. And what they would do is they might even do the first screening call, and then it would get elevated to your GM. And then your GM would make the final call or invite them into the facility, because every Monday at 3 p.m. we do an intro session for new prospective coaches. So, but having somebody who just wakes up and obsesses about banging the gong, you move the needle pretty quickly, is what I've seen. That's the first one.
Does
that make sense?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's an option.
A lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we have I didn't mean to interrupt, but we have a director of coaching, right? But he also is doing on-field evaluations, ongoing training every week, every month.
Yep.
Every season. He's got, he has to maintain this level that we've been able to achieve as far as our coaching staff. But he also does the interviewing, the filtering, the train that sort of fell under his umbrella up to this point. And we just talked about this. We had a 2.5 day 2025 planning meeting, and we're like, okay, if we're going to hit these numbers, this is how many coaches we need. So you got to get going. But he's
like, sorry, dude, I got an 11 a.m. And then you know what happens is it takes him 3 days to respond to the Indeed message, and the candidate goes and gets another job, or because he's like, Mark, but for you, the reason why you're doing that is because you're thinking, look, I can't afford who the hell has heard of a couple $1 million a year company having a head of coaching recruitment? Because you're thinking that's a $90,000 a year plus benefits position.
Right.
But when you start thinking global and you're like, dude, I'm going to get a former soccer player from Argentina who's passionate about soccer, and he's
Messi?
or whatever. I don't care.
Lionel looking, if Leo's looking for a job.
Not Leo. But the point would be to me is that who the hell has ever heard of a full-time coaching recruitment at a couple $1 million a year business? Because you're thinking Buffalo rates.
Yeah.
Instead, if you think global rates, you're like, oh shit, look at all these different things we could do. And it's our head of coach recruitment, and they do info sessions and webinars and reach out to amateur sports teams and say, do any of your, players want to come coach a couple shifts? And now you're like, shit, I can afford a head of coach recruitment, right? Because you're doing local math, not global math.
Yeah.
Right? Does that kind of that applies. Yeah,
can I go make a phone call?
Yeah. But I'm just giving you some, we're recording this, so you'll be able to, but what I mean is that if that is you, because you think to yourself, well, shit, I can't hire global talent to be my coaches, and that's my biggest problem. Just by shifting the way you think about kind of structuring your roles, do you think that somebody who wakes up in the morning and obsesses about coaching recruitment, who's $1,500 a month, do you think that they'll move the needle?
Yeah, it's huge.
F yeah.
It's huge. Increasing the flow of yeah. I mean,
just activity.
We have 2 full-time coaches, but we have 26 part-time coaches, just in one area.
Exactly.
Those 26 are what is always, I mean, it's never stops.
It's just, it's nonstop.
Part-time people, right?
But it's the same thing with baristas at a coffee shop.
Exactly.
It's the same thing, which is just, you just need a constant stream, and asking your overworked GM to do it means that, frankly, that even if they're brilliant, they're spread thin, they're going to do a half-ass job. They just don't have time. They don't have time in the day. Right.
Yep.
So
nailed it.
So that's the first way you can do it. The second way you can do it, and it's more for high skilled positions, which I don't think is your biggest problem. But when I work with somebody who this is more just telling you just kind of the ideas, which is something like, I need more HVAC technicians, or I need more enterprise sales reps.
Right.
And activity alone doesn't, let's use HVAC because that's one that I help a lot of people with. They're like, look, I need more HVAC techs. You could post in every Facebook group in the world, but there's just not enough of them in Cleveland. And so what you do is you look at the way let's say labor is 25% of your revenue. And right now your HVAC techs get half that. What you do is, instead of having the person who answers your phone make $70,000 a year, you take that position, which is able to be global talented, and you turn it into a $24,000 a year position, and you take that savings and you just pay HVAC techs 20% more. Magically, you can steal HVAC techs from all of your competitors without raising your prices or ruining your margins. And so just by looking, why does my bookkeeper make $48,000 a year?
Right.
So what you do is you look at the way your labor is set up, and you say, look, enterprise sales reps or HVAC techs or whatever is that kind of hard, big one I've helped, veterinarians, because we work with a lot of big vets. There's not enough vets to go around. You want to know how you get more vets? Pay them 20% more than the competition. Easy.
Of course.
And now magically you solved your vet problem, but your front desk person isn't going to make $70,000 a year because you're going to stick it in Argentina and it's going to be 30% of that. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the other way you can solve it, is you can either kind of flood the low end roles, or just rework how your labor works. And magically you put up an ad that says starting rates for HVAC techs $49 an hour and your competitor's 31. Poof.
Yeah.
You solved it. Solved it. So I've run that playbook a lot too. So those are the 2 ways as you think about using global talent to develop an edge. That's
brilliant.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes a ton of sense.
This is all, by the way, this isn't me thinking, this is me bleeding and figuring things out. So I just opening up a vein and that didn't work. That didn't work.
That didn't work.
Right. A lot of blood and treasure to kind of distill it into those 2 categories.
Well, it shows, because those make a ton of sense. I mean, I can see it in many different ways.
Now, the other thing I'll tell you too, as you think about like your head of coaching, or you have a couple, like I think of those local Americans as, like, the analogy I use a lot is they're like my Gordon Ramsays. They're like my expensive chefs who have loads of experience, but I don't want Gordon Ramsay peeling the potatoes in the morning.
Yeah.
I want Gordon Ramsay making the recipes, tasting the ingredients, VIP gland handling, structuring programs, doing high touch Gordon Ramsay shit, not there at 4 a.m. because I don't want to pay 180 grand to somebody who's peeling potatoes in the morning.
Great analogy.
As you think about your team, the other thing that's great is this idea of like sous chefs, prep cooks, meaning, why don't you guys make more Instagram? Well, who has the time? Awesome. You create a group account in Slack or Dropbox, all your coaches just upload it there, and then somebody on the other side of the world edits it and puts it on Instagram. Magically, you're making 10 pieces of content a day now at an affordable rate. So because they're only doing the thing that they have to do, which is, hey guys, selfie at the end of the class. Thanks for graduating, little kickers, whatever the hell it is.
That's right.
But then getting that into Instagram is schleppy, and you don't want your expensive coach doing that, and you don't have time, and your front desk person's like, another shitty Mark idea. I don't have the time. But honestly, right? Like,
I hear it often.
You're just, look, I'm speaking from experience here, right? This is just swap Mark for John. But if you say, look, I just brought on somebody, they're a full-time Instagram video editor. It's $1,200 a month. All you guys have to do is shoot the raw video and upload it to this Google Drive. After that, it's done. And my goal is we can start making 5 Instagram videos a day. And magically now you're getting more customers because they see you on Instagram. And so that's the other thing you can do, is start thinking about letting your fighter pilots just fly the jets, not fuel the aircraft.
Yeah.
That's the other way, as you look at like opportunities in your businesses. Like, my CFO is the one who emails people if the credit card's expired. I don't know if that's the best use of my CFO's time. Let's get him a staff accountant or a bookkeeper or somebody to do AR. And that is really applies to a bunch, doing the schedule. Do you really need your heavy hitter to set the schedule, or your wife? Or can you teach somebody to say, here's how we do the schedule, and it needs to be ready by Monday at 7 a.m. And if it's really complicated, ask us. I'll be your Gordon Ramsay, but here's the recipe. So that's the other way for you to think about it. Yeah.
No, it's funny you say that, because I actually, my director of operations, she's been with me for at least 10 years, if not 11 years. And so she's seen almost all of the growth, right? From when it was me doing everything to then it was me and her doing everything. My wife wasn't even involved in the business back then. But it's funny because I have most recently, like in the last few weeks, mentioned to her a role like this, because she does like back-end parent communications, handles the registration site, and there's a lot of logistical stuff. And I actually brought up to her, a role
Sous
like this.
Sous chef. Just say you need a
that's
sous.
the analogy I need to use.
You need a
because
sous.
you know what? You know what her first reaction was? And Brian Wilson actually nailed this. I had a conversation with him, and he nailed this and said to me, I bet you she's afraid of getting replaced and fired. And when I brought this up to her, her first reaction is, are you trying to get rid of me? I was like, no.
I'm trying to elevate you.
I was like, if you leave, I'm totally screwed. So that's the last thing. I'll be gone before you're gone.
So I can tell you, Mark, the way to think about it is, what's her name?
Nicole.
You say, Nicole, all those things that we wish we had time to do? All those, like how you want to write, a handwritten thank you when they score their first goal? How we want to be proactive and all that stuff. Who doesn't have time to do that right now? Nicole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Daniela to help with the scheduling, not so that I can fire Nicole, so that Nicole can do the magical things, the things that don't scale, the things that require your experience, the magic Gordon Ramsay shit, not the peeling the potatoes. Because right now you don't have time to do the magic shit because you're in the back peeling fucking potatoes. And if you give her that analogy, she's like, I've always wanted to do, date nights where they drop off their kids and we do wine tasting, but you don't have time, do you? No, because you're doing the schedule, right? And so think of it as elevating her and taking the bottom parts of her responsibilities and giving those to somebody else. And now you're like, I want more out of you, not less. And now it gives like and it, by the way, it has the added benefit of being true. You don't want to fire her. You want to elevate her. Right. And so
that's great.
That's in my experience, how you kind of like explain it. And
that's great.
You know what I mean? Like do more of what you like and less of what you don't like.
Yeah. You know what? For years we've talked about like getting her an assistant or something like that. And, you know, we're at the point now where, I mean, we have just in Buffalo alone, we have 7,000 kids a year that play with us. And it's like the logistics of that, because we're mobile, they don't all come to us. We go to them essentially. So there's a lot of logistics that go in that. And she's like, well, it's just, you know, I just love the framing of that. That really makes a ton of sense. And between the sous chef, the elevation, all of it is something that I think I can get buy-in on. And like in our 2025 planning meeting I mentioned earlier, this week we had a 2.5 day thing, went over everything from 24, 25, had a lot of great ideas. We came up with some ideas where we're just like, well, that's great, but I don't know if it's possible.
Who the hell's going to do them? Who has the time?
We had a couple great ideas for growth related ideas, but we were like, yeah, but is it realistic? Like, will we have the ability to do that? And one of them in particular would instantly be resolved and could be done using a global talent easily.
Yep.
And if that person brought in, 100 players a year, they're paid for.
The break even, I work with like roofers and I'm like, hey, just have somebody call. I'm just like, have somebody call all the roofs that didn't close on the first appointment. If they close one roof a year, you get 400% ROI and they're going to close way more than one per year.
Yeah.
And the math, it doesn't, because of the labor rate, it doesn't need to be like, if they're not closing 5,000 new players, we're underwater. It's just the math is totally different. Right.
It's upside down. Yeah. It's great.
And so Mark, what I would say to you as well is I would tie in your annual planning with what you just said, which is, I had this conversation and it really made me thinking about kind of how we can keep building leverage in our company. And, I had I heard all these great ideas and I thought to myself, who the hell has the time? And what I realized is you're spending your time doing potato peeling stuff. And I want you doing stuff like innovative player and coach development and increasing the value to our customers and magical things, because you're the only, I can't ever replace that. You've got taste and judgment and experience, but you know what I can replace? Backfilling a coach who calls in sick and reaching out to the backups, because respectfully, that's not magical stuff. And if you present it like that, people are like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
I love it.
Is that a useful kind of like architecture?
It's more than useful. It's
okay. Am I incepting you? I'm trying to incept you.
I'm going to wake up and the walls are going to be moving. I'm going to be like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, what just happened?
I got to spin the.
I'm upside down.
I got to spin the thing to see if Okay, so the last thing that I would say, and then we can do questions or whatever, because I want to keep this, like nice and tight. The last thing that I would say is when you think about this evolution that you're doing, which is, the journey of a business owner is the journey from I did it, someone expensive did it, someone less expensive did it, and then eventually technology does it. Mm-hmm. And not everything gets all the way to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
You're never gonna, if you get sued, you're never going to have AI respond to being sued.
Right.
When you're welcoming a new parent and you're giving them a tour of your facility, that's never going to be somebody low wage. That's always going to be your director of player operation. Okay. But the idea is you want to push as much down as possible because it just lets your people be freed up to do people magic stuff. And technology is the very lowest layer. So when we talk about digital power tools or we talk about, 10 years ago, Mark did the schedule with paper and pen. 5 years ago, somebody who made $100,000 a year did the schedule. 2 years ago, somebody who makes $1,500 a month makes your schedule. And in the next 6 months, we're just going to automatically use AI to do the schedule. So that's how something can kind of journey through this process. And your job as the business owner is to create the systems that let you go down that journey as far as possible. Does that make so? That's how technology kind of fits into this, which is it starts with Mark or Mark's wife. I'm the only one who knows how to make Thanksgiving.
Right.
And, right. And, but what you're doing as a business owner in terms of building value is pushing things down.
Yeah.
And what you do is you set up systems so that they don't F it up. Because as John Cipher, I don't know if you've ever seen him, or Cipher, sorry, is he says, thanks, grandma in the kitchen making Thanksgiving. So Mark doesn't need a recipe. Mark knows how to welcome a new parent. Mark's been doing this 12 years, but that shit doesn't scale. So what Mark does is Mark has an onboarding checklist that somebody can roll out of bed and onboard a new parent in the standard quality way. And so what Mark and your senior people's job is to create those systems that allow the quality not to degrade as Mark stops making Thanksgiving and the new person who's only been here 2 months makes a hell of a Thanksgiving meal. And that's what a recipe is. So that's kind of, as you think about using technology in your operations, I think global talent is a journey and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Right.
Yeah.
So you see how this all kind of like fits together?
Absolutely. Yeah. My mind's running.
Cool. Yeah. Sometimes
running.
When I talk to, people, they're like, I need a cigarette after we talk and I don't smoke. It's like, I need a drink because it's just like,
I got cigars. I'm a cigar guy.
It's like a little bit of the head thing.
Yeah.
Any questions do you have for me as kind of like a nice way to kind of wind this up?
I would say 2 questions. One would be for the existing business, I have lots of ideas, great concepts that you shared, and I really value and appreciate it. From a start from scratch perspective, I have a little local concept that I think could pretty quickly get into, 5,000 plus a month in revenue. Really simple, easy idea, but it would require sales, right? So a lot of picking up the phone, emailing, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Other than time slot and potentially maybe accent issues, what has been your experience in regards to those types of roles? Is it mainly having like a system in place regarding, initial outreach, follow up, that sort of, making sure those are tied up, or what else, I guess?
This applies not just to sales roles, but non-sales roles as well. But I am a big attributes-based hirer. Because I can teach skills. I can't teach attributes.
Yeah.
And so I don't care if they were selling, peanut and now I'm going to bring them over to soccer. I don't care. But what I'm looking for, generally speaking, is smart, hungry, coachable. That's what so when you've I don't know who you've interacted with on our team, but I pull people from different industries who maybe don't even have any experience selling, but they're so excited about it. I'm like, I can mold you if you're smart, hungry, coachable.
Yeah.
And so generally speaking, and that applies not just to sales roles, but if somebody's like, this is my big shot, Mark, I used to work in hospitality. I love hiring people out of hospitality because those are shitty jobs. And they're like, this is my big shot. I've always wanted to be in sales. Teach me. And I'm like, okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
I can run really fast with you, right? This is not technical sales. This is not, I'm selling Oracle database architecture, right? I suspect that that's not what they're going to be selling. So I can teach somebody that in like 3 days. Like what I can't teach is, do they have a freaking motor? Do they want to make a bunch of money? Are they loyal? Are they hungry? That I can't teach. So what I would say is when you're filling out your recruitment form, just say, our recruiters laugh because they can tell once I've talked to somebody, because they'll be like, I've talked to John and he says I should write smart, hungry, coachable. So let's do that. Like they literally see those because I talk about it so much, because if you see Sagan and you've interacted with anybody on Sagan, like, I don't know who you've interacted with, like none of them were recruiters.
I agree.
They're just, I want raw attributes and then I'll direct them, So that would be my big advice.
I love that. It's actually, I coach quite a bit. And I actually tell people all the time, I don't need the biggest, fastest, strongest kids. Give me the ones that are aggressive, coachable, you know,
attributes.
I love it. Yep,
Attributes.
exactly. That was my point. I love it.
Yeah.
That actually brings me to my last question. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that you potentially played college baseball. Is that true?
I did.
As a college athlete, I would love to hear what that experience, what you took from that experience at, you know, I played low level college sports briefly before I got hurt, but I love athletes. I just think there's a lot of great things that they bring to the table as adults.
Yeah.
If there was something that you, or a couple things that you took from your experience as a college athlete to get you where you are now, is there anything that stands out?
I mean, everything I learned playing sports, you know, everything, like everything. Meaning, I remember there was a sign in my junior high or high school, and it said academics plus athletics equals success. And for whatever reason, that stuck in my fucking brain. And through my high school, I was just like, okay, so that's what it means to be successful. Okay. So I'm going to try to be in a lot of AP classes and be captain of the football and baseball team. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what success means. And that always stuck out with me. What I would say, broadly speaking, and my co-founder, Kayvon, was walked on for 4 years at Stanford in wrestling while studying computer science. So that's Kayvon. So him and I get along very well. He's psycho.
Love it.
And he went on to tremendous success professionally as well. But I wouldn't say as well. He's way more successful than I am. And he's smarter than I am. I have a better mustache, but that's a different thing. That doesn't count. He can't help that. What I would say for me was, it's basically impossible for me to say, what did I learn? Because the answer is everything. Everything. I mean, I learned self-discipline, and I learned how to lead people because I was captain, and I learned how to put in the work so that when game day comes, it's easy. And I learned, every single thing that I learned, there's zero difference. And previously I was in a fairly high stakes professional career, living and working kind of in the Middle East and stuff. And I would have given the same answer, which is like, how'd you learn how to pack your bag the night before? Because I did that shit in Little League. I packed my bag because at 7 a.m. when I'm excited and I got to get out the door, I might forget stuff. And that's the exact same stuff before I went to a high stakes meeting in the Middle East, was I packed my bag the night before. And so there is zero space between athletics and there is no space between those two things. None.
Well, I greatly appreciate that answer because I feel that way, and I try to impress upon that on my own kids and the kids that I coach, and hearing that from someone, of your stature who's had a lot of success in their life, I think it's something that can be real and heard by, kids that are like, I don't know if it's worth me continuing with this sport. I really love it, but I'm having a bad coach, a bad experience, something like that. So I appreciate that answer to push through that.
And I think for me, I found it in athletics, but if I really think at what the core is, I really think it's like a commitment to excellence. Because maybe you have a kid who's not athletically oriented. Awesome. Let's talk about pottery and a commitment to excellence in pottery. So I think for a young dude like me who couldn't sit still, it was very obviously wrestling and rugby and baseball and football. But for someone else, it might be theater and a commitment to the process, because you fuzz your eyes a little bit, and a commitment to excellence in soccer is the same as computer programming. Now,
absolutely.
I like the physicality and all that fun stuff, but it's not exclusively contained there. It's really a commitment to the process, a commitment to excellence.
Agreed. Yeah, love it. Great answer. I really appreciate it. Excellence is excellence. It just depends on whatever the focus is.
I found I chased it. I learned to chase it and never catch it in sports, but I think there's probably a lot of different forums where you can chase it.
Yeah. Great point.
So, Mark, I forgot to ask the $1 billion question. Was it good working with Sagan? That's like the one thing I should have asked.
I got to go. No.
Yeah. Sorry. Your internet cut out. Yeah.
It was excellent. It was a great experience from day one. The communication. I've pet peeve with communication. Like I have issues with that across the board, every aspect of life, whether it's my kids, whether it's a restaurant, I don't care. It was excellent. It was very responsive, answered questions. The entire process was easy, smooth. If I had a question about anything, it was answered quickly and completely.
Super cool.
It was really a great experience, top to bottom.
Did somebody refer you to us, or did you find us on the internet?
No.
Okay. It's like stumbled across us somewhere.
Yeah, honestly, John, I think it probably came from me just following you on X.
Oh, great.
And
well, thank you.
Yeah. It just, it's been a while, and I was like, how can I use this? And, kind of, over the course of a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that was really all that it was.
That's great. Well, we'd love to continue in whatever form it takes, supporting you and all your various ventures and stuff. I will maybe close by saying, you have to be really, really careful with discussions like this because you get addicted. I am a full junkie. I'm like laying there with, like I'm a junkie, because now I can't look at opportunities without taking this tool out and going, I could beat my competitor. I could charge less. I could do more. Because it pervades your business outlook if you have that kind of mind. And unfortunately, I have fully diagnosed you with having that mind. And so it's going to start weaseling its way into your brain, and you're going to be like, it's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm warning you.
It. So I appreciate the warning. You should be warning my wife.
I've diagnosed, the diagnosis,
She's the one that needs to come to the clinic.
Cool. Well, she can listen to this, and, my newsletter, I write a lot about this stuff. I wrote a newsletter called What If You Only Did Magical Things? I wrote that like 2 years ago, and I still send it to people all the time. And it's just about, the thumbnail is Gordon Ramsay. Because it's like, what if you only did magical things and you didn't have to do freaking, expense reconciliation? Imagine how much better you could serve your customers.
It's so good. Yeah. So good.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to hit end on this. We can hang tight for a moment, but, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on.
No, likewise, John. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to hit pause.